Elizaveta's neighbors, who heard the entire birth through the thin walls of the communal apartment, weren't much better. They all shook their heads at Elizaveta's fate. To have one child in these times was a misfortune. To have two felt like negligence. The building supervisor, an old man in the apartment 3 doors down, had a soft spot in his heart for the little dancer. When he heard the baby's first cries, he went to cross himself in response. But a plane buzzed low overhead, and his fingers froze over his collarbone, and he dove under his bed in fear. And that was the closest thing Elizaveta got to a blessing that day. The midwife, anxious for her own family and eager to get away from Elizaveta's hollow eyes, packed up her things in a hurry. Later, when she unpacked at home, she would realize that she'd left a sharp pair of scissors behind. The babies still lay where the midwife had placed them, rooting around for their first meal, and Elizaveta made no motion to help them. She stared straight ahead, as if the birth had made her blind. The midwife stood to go, and just before she closed the door, Elizaveta gave her a look that curdled her stomach. The midwife should have stayed longer. It wasn't good to leave new mothers alone. You never knew what they would do. She should have offered some comfort. But what comfort can be offered to a woman on the eve of war? The midwife knew. No happy fate awaited this mother or her children, and she wanted to stay and help, but her own family waited at home. To give herself the strength to leave, she hardened her heart and said, "If only you'd kept out of trouble," and then turned and slammed the door. Elizaveta was 19 years old, and she had no family. Her parents, like so many, had been killed in the year of 37, dragged off to the Gulag under false accusations of inciting insurrection. Her grandparents were lost to stray gunfire during the revolution. She was an only child, and now she was alone, with 2 children of her own. The closest thing she had to siblings were her fellow dancers at the Kirov Ballet, and even these substitutes were absent. That morning, at the company's first class of the day, it had been announced that the entire company, dancers, seamstresses, orchestra, and all, would be evacuated to Molotov that evening, along with all the students and teachers at the Vaganova Ballet Academy, the Kirov's School of Ballet. As Elizaveta's daughters cried in concert with the sirens outside, all of her fellow dancers stuffed the essentials of their lives into duffel bags and suitcases and prepared for the evacuation, along with all the government officials the state had deemed too important to die. The Kirov was the pride of the Soviets, the premier ballet company in the world, and Elizaveta had once been its most promising dancer. While even talented ballerinas excel in a single specialty, some bodies are built for leaping or for quick pirouettes or for long, sinuous arabesques, Elizaveta, who had sacrificed her childhood at the Vaganova, seemed poised to take them all. The speed of her allegro was as breathtaking as the majesty of her adagio, both underlined by a magnetism that was impossible to define or ignore. She seduced entire audiences with a single glance. But when she became pregnant, Elizaveta's body, which she'd known so well, became foreign to her. Her spins slowed, her attack softened, and her balance, thrown off by her stomach, which in the eyes of the other dancers grew much faster than a pregnant stomach should, ebbed away by the week. Her name appeared on the company's casting lists less and less, and then disappeared altogether. During Elizaveta's 5th month, the company physician took her aside and warned her to stop attending classes, not because he thought she was in danger, but because the ballet master, who preferred absolute uniformity in his dancers' appearances, instructed him to do so. "You don't want to hurt yourself," the physician said, "or your child."
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.